Today, we're going to talk about a skill that, I'm telling you, is becoming a legit superpower in our modern world. It's called question reading. In an age where any answer is just a click away, the real advantage isn't knowing stuff, it's knowing how to think. Okay, be honest. Think about the last book you read. A week later, how much of it could you really clearly explain to someone? If you're like most of us, probably not a whole lot. We tend to read passively, just letting the words flow over us. And here's the thing. In an age where AI can spit out any what you want in seconds, our real human edge is asking why and how. That's where this skill is an absolute game changer. So this really means we have to shift our whole perspective on reading. The point of opening a book isn't just to download words into your brain. The real goal is to kickstart a thinking process, to actually get into a dialogue with the ideas on the page. I love this quote because it just nails the whole idea. Imagine you could actually sit down with the author of the book you're reading. Would you just sit there silently and listen? Of course not. A real conversation is a back and forth, and your part of that conversation comes from the questions you ask. And that brings us to this really powerful method called question reading. It's the framework that's going to help you switch from being just a passive audience member to an active, engaged thinker. So what is it exactly? Well, it's a very intentional process. As you're reading, you're not just accepting the text. You're poking it, you're prodding it, you're constantly asking it questions and then hunting for the answers right there in the pages. You're no longer just a consumer of information. You actually become a co-creator of your own understanding. And just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the one hand, you've got regular reading. It's passive, you get a pretty shallow understanding, and honestly, you forget it pretty quickly. You're just a tourist following the author's tour. But with question reading, everything flips. It's active, you get the deep essential meaning, that knowledge actually sticks with you, and this is the most important part. You start creating your own original thoughts about it. Okay, you might be thinking, this sounds kind of complicated, but it's way simpler than you think to get started. You only need two basic tools to get the ball rolling: finding keywords and using that classic 5W1H method. Every great question starts right here. Before you can ask something truly meaningful, you've got to figure out what the core ideas are. Keywords are like anchors for your thoughts. They're the solid ground you can launch your questions from. Let's just take this one sentence. It's simple, but it's deep. What are the two big concepts holding it all together? Right, happiness and comparing. Just by pulling those two words out, you've already found the most important ideas to dig into. Now, once you have your keyword, you bring out your 5W1H toolkit. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Think of these 6 little words as a compass for your brain. They give you 6 totally different directions to explore any idea, which guarantees you're looking at it from all sides. And here's where the magic happens. We take that keyword, comparing, and we just start applying the framework. All of a sudden, we're not just nodding along with the sentence. We're asking these deep, personal questions like, okay, why does comparing get in the way of happiness? Or who am I always comparing myself to without even realizing it? And how do I actually stop doing that? This is where the real learning kicks in. All right, so that's a great start, but let's build on that. Once you're comfortable making those basic questions, you can use something called the 4-step question ladder to get even deeper and add some real structure to your thinking. I want you to picture this as literally climbing a ladder. You start on the ground floor with the factual stuff. What do the words actually say? Then you climb a rung to interpretive. What's the real meaning here? Then up again to valuational. How does this connect to me and what I believe? And finally, you get to the very top, creative. What am I going to do about this? So let's try it out. We're going to use this fantastic quote as our practice run. We'll take this one single idea and climb it up all 4 rungs of the ladder to see how our thinking gets deeper and deeper. Okay, first step, the ground floor, factual. This is super simple. The question is just, what does the sentence literally define courage as? The answer's right there in the text. It's not having no fear, it's beating it. Easy. We're just making sure we've got a solid foundation. Now we climb up to the next rung, interpretive. These questions make us think about the author's choices. Why did they use these specific words? By putting absence against triumph, they're hinting that courage is an action, it's a fight, not just a state of being. See, we're digging for that deeper message now. The third level, valuational, is where we turn the spotlight around on ourselves. This is where the text connects directly to your life. Do I actually agree with this? Does this idea match my own experiences?
Now you're officially in the conversation, bringing your own perspective to the table.
And that brings us all the way to the top of the ladder, the creative level. This is where thinking turns into doing. It's not enough to just understand an idea or even agree with it. This step demands we ask, okay, so what? Now what? How can I take this idea about courage and use it to tackle a real challenge I have, like this week? Because really, that's the whole point of this, isn't it? To make what we read actually matter in our lives. So the final piece of the puzzle is building a habit that consistently turns those insights from reading into real-world action. This little framework is so simple, but so powerful for doing exactly that. Anytime you come across a big idea, just run it through these 4 questions. Why is this important? So what's the main idea here? What does this mean for me personally? And then the most important question of all, now what? What is one small thing I'm going to do about this? This sequence makes sure that learning doesn't just stay in your head. When you boil it all down, this entire philosophy rests on one single powerful truth. The life we live, the answers we get, they are a direct reflection of the quality of the questions we are brave enough to ask, not just of books, but of ourselves and of everything around us. In today's world, we are drowning in information. Answers are cheap. They're everywhere. The real power, the true skill for this new age we're in, is in asking better questions. So I'll just leave you with this one last thing to think about. What will be your first question?